King Sky, Advanced Astrology Learning Modules, a compendium. 7 modules moving from foundational symbolism to advanced chart synthesis with worked examples, original diagrams, and a full reference appendix. An original educational work of symbolic and interpretive astrology. Shoutouts Claude Anthropic AI agent for helping me create this PDF artifact. Please like, subscribe, comment, share if you dare and care. This channel is currently free and it's based on the education in regards to astrology. So basically, we're going to get into how to use this compendium. So this compendium is organized as 7 progressive learning modules, each building on the vocabulary and structures introduced before it. We see that modules 1 through 3 cover the foundational grammar of the discipline, signs, planets, and houses, while modules 4 through 5 cover the syntax, aspects, and chart synthesis. Modules 6 through 7 cover more advanced, time-based, and technical methods used by experienced practitioners. We see the core concepts here, the essential vocabulary and structure for the module's topic. Diagram and original visual reference, a wheel, grid, or geometric diagram for the concept in question. Worked example, fully annotated illustrative case, showing the concept applied using invented example data. And practice, which is reflective exercises for a learner to work through independently. A note on genre and method, astrology is a symbolic language with a long and cultural and literary history. It is not an empirical or predictive science, and no claim here should be read as a factual statement about causation between celestial bodies and human affairs. This compendium teaches astrology as a system, its internal logic, vocabulary, and interpretive conventions in the same spirit one might teach the grammar of tarot, mythology, or any other symbolic framework. Here are the modules. We have 7 in this video we're going to go over. And then there's going to be some appendixes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So first we're going to talk about the language of the sky. Signs, elements, modalities. We're going to get into the 10 planets, symbolic function and meaning. The 12 houses where meaning lives. Aspects, geometry of relationship. Chart synthesis, reading a natal chart as a whole. Astrology and time, transits and progressions, advanced technique, midpoints, patterns, and dignity. We're going to look at a glyph and symbol glossary, as well as orb tables by aspect and body, planetary dignities table, quick reference keyword tables, and practice exercise bank. There's a lot we are going to get into, so here we go. In this first module, we're going to go over foundations, the language of the sky, signs, elements, modalities, so core concepts. We see the zodiac divides the ecliptic, the sun's apparent yearly path, into 12 30-degree segments, each assigned a sign name, a ruling element, and a modality. These 3 layers are the basic grammar from which every other astrological statement is built. So, of course, we have the 4 elements. We see fires, of course, Aries, Leo, and Sag signifies initiative and self-expression. Earth, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn signifies material, practicality. Air, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius signifies ideas and exchange. Water, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces signifies feeling and depth. And the 3 modalities, cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, initiate. Fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, sustain. And mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, adapt. So every sign is a unique product of one element, crossed with one modality. Here we see the zodiac wheel, signs grouped by element with modality labeled beneath each sign. And for this worked example, reading a sign as element and modality, consider Capricorn. Its element is earth, giving it a practical, material, results-oriented character. Its modality is cardinal, okay? It's giving it initiating, ambitious quality. It starts things rather than merely maintaining or adapting them. Combine the 2 and a coherent picture emerges without needing to memorize a separate keyword list for each of the 12 signs. Capricorn is the archetype of the discipline founder, someone who's initiating is cardinal toward tangible, lasting structures, earth. So this same element plus modality method works for any of the 12 signs. And in practice, using only its element and modality, write a 2-sentence character sketch of Scorpio, water fixed, before checking any reference text. Identify which 2 signs share fire but differ in modality and describe how their expression of initiative might differ. Sort all 12 signs into a 4x3 grid by element and modality from memory, then come back to this video and check Appendix D. Next is planets, 10 bodies, symbolic function and meaning. So where signs describe how something is expressed, planets describe what is being expressed. All right. So each of the 10 bodies used in modern Western astrology represents a distinct psychological or life function. Its house and sign placement describe the arena and the style in which that function operates. So we can clearly see here, sun is our core identity, vitality, and the conscious self. Moon is our emotional needs, habit, instinctive response. Mercury, communication, thought, information processing. Venus, attraction, values, relational harmony. Mars, drive, assertion, desire, and action. Jupiter, expansion, belief, meaning making. Saturn, structure, limitation, earn mastery. Uranus, disruption, individuation, sudden change. Neptune, dissolution, imagination, transcendence. And Pluto, transformation, power, what is buried and reclaimed. Personal versus generational planets. So Sun through Mars move quickly and describe personal temperament with real individual specificity. Jupiter and Saturn move on a decade scale rhythm and describe how a person relates to opportunity and structure. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto move so slowly that they are shared by entire generations and describe collective era-defining undercurrents more than individual personality. Same planet, different sign. Mercury governs communication regardless of sign, but its expression changes considerably by placement. We see Mercury in Gemini, its home sign, communicates quickly, associatively, and with genuine pleasure and variety, the classic quick wit. But Mercury in Scorpio performs the same underlying function, communication, through a very different filter, probing, private, more interested in subtext than small talk, learning to read planet and sign as a single compound statement rather than two separate facts is the central skill of this module. And practice for each of the 5 personal planets, Sun through Mars, write one sentence describing its function independent of any sign. Pick one planet and imagine it placed in all 4 elements. Describe how its expression would shift each time. Explain in your own words why Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are called generational planets. And here we have houses, 12 houses where meaning lives. So if signs are how and planets are the what, houses are where. The 12 houses divide a chart into life domains from the self, the first, through partnership, the 7th, to the unconscious, the 12th. And the 4 angular houses, being the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th, mark the chart's most structurally significant points and are considered especially emphasized when occupied. 12 houses, we see angular houses 1, 4, 7, 10 highlighted, marking the ascendant, IC, descendant, and midheaven. Now, we'll get into these houses in more detail. See, the first house is identity, appearance, how one meets the world. Second house is resources, money, personal values. Third house is communication, siblings, immediate environment. Fourth house is home, family, psychological foundation. Fifth house is creativity, romance, self-expression. Sixth house is work, health, daily routine. Seventh house is partnership, marriage, open relationship. Eighth house is shared resources, intimacy, transformation. Ninth house is belief, travel, higher learning. The 10th house is career, public role and reputation. And the 11th house is community, friendship, collective vision. And the 12th house is, of course, the unconscious, solitude, what is hidden. So this worked example, same planet, different house. Venus in the 2nd house links relational values directly to money and self-worth, someone who may earn through a aesthetic or relational skill, and who ties financial security closely to a sense of personal value. The same Venus placed instead in the 10th house links relational values to public role and career, someone whose reputation is built on diplomacy, beauty, or relational skill in a visible professional arena. The planet's core function, being harmony, attraction, and value, stays constant, and the house tells you which life domain it organizes. So look at the practice here, name the 4 angular houses, and in one phrase each, what life domain each governs. Choose a planet from Module 2 and describe how its meaning would change across the 4th, 7th, and 10th houses. Sketch your own blank 12-house wheel from memory before checking Figure 3.1. Alright, on to aspects. We're looking at the geometry of relationship between planets. An aspect is the angular distance between 2 planets measured along the ecliptic, Certain angles recur as especially meaningful because they divide the 360-degree circle into simple whole number ratios. Astrologers read these angles as describing the kind of relationship, harmonious, tense, neutral, between the two planets' functions. You see the 5 major aspects and their exact angles. Solid lines are traditionally read as easier, and dashed lines as more dynamic or tense. So that tells us that sextile is traditionally seen as easier, trine, and dashed, dynamic or tense, opposition, square, and what's empty is our conjunction, 0 degrees. So conjunction, 0 degrees, is fusion. The two planetary functions operate as one, or for better or for worse. Sextile, 60 degrees, opportunity, an easy cooperative channel that still requires some activation. Square, 90 degrees, being tension, productive friction that motivates growth through resistance. Trine, 120 degrees, flow, an effortless, harmonious channel, can indicate untested ease. Opposition, 180 degrees, polarity, awareness through contrast, a relationship to be balanced, not resolved. And this worked example, interpreting a square, consider Mars square Saturn, an aspect classically read as friction between drive, Mars, and restriction, Saturn. Read simplistically, this looks purely like frustration, desire constantly meeting a wall. Read structurally, the square is better understood as a training relationship. Mars provides raw motivation, Saturn provides the discipline and patience raw motivation lacks on its own. A person with this aspect who learns to channel it well often develops exceptional endurance and earned competence precisely because ease was never available. Without checking the table, estimate the angular distance for a trine and squared and verify against figure 4.1. Pick any two planets from Module 2 and write one interpretation of them in trine and one in square. Explain why an opposition is read as polarity to balance rather than simply conflict. And synthesis, reading a natal chart as a whole. So, going into this, a natal chart is a single snapshot of the sky mapped onto the houses at the moment and place of birth. Synthesis is the skill of reading all 10 planets, 12 signs, 12 houses, and their web of aspects as one coherent statement, rather than 10 disconnected sentences. Most students learn the parts quickly. Synthesis is what separates fluent chart reading from mechanical lookup. Here's a reliable synthesis sequence. Starting with the big three, which is the sun, identity, moon, emotional needs, and the ascendant, approach to life, the chart's structural spine. Note element and modality balance across all 10 planets, which are overrepresented, which are missing entirely. Identify the chart's angular planets and any tight major aspects. These carry outsized weight in the overall reading. Look for aspect patterns, see Module 7 and Appendix C, that link 3 or more planets into a single structural theme. Only then move to individual placements, reading each one in light of the whole rather than in isolation. Here's an illustrative sample chart, invented data for teaching purposes only. Dashed lines mark major aspects between the plotted planets. So reading the sample chart above as a whole rather than planet by planet, several planets cluster in Earth and water signs, suggesting a temperament oriented toward material security and emotional depth rather than fast, airy sociability. The chart shows several trine and sextile connections, solid gold and green lines, alongside fewer tense squares, which are dashed red. A structural bias toward available flowing resources rather than forced growth through friction. A synthesis reading would open with this overall texture before descending into any single placement's detail, since the texture reframes how each detail should be weighted. And we see, using any published or invented chart, complete steps 1 through 2 of the synthesis sequence above before looking at any single planet's detailed meaning. Explain in one paragraph why reading planet by planet in isolation risks producing a contradictory character sketch. Identify the element and modality balance of the sample chart in figure 5.1 and describe what it suggests. Alright, on to Module 6, which is time, astrology, motion, transits, and progressions. So a natal chart is fixed at birth, but the sky keeps moving. We understand that transits compare planets' current real-time position against the natal chart, describing present tense weather over a fixed structure. Progressions use a symbolic a day for a year technique to advance the natal chart itself, slowly over a lifetime, describing internal psychological development rather than external circumstance. Right, here's a transit overlay. We see fixed natal placements in a ring against a moment's transiting planets, the outer ring with dashed lines marking active aspects. And so we can see that fast transits, such as with the Moon, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, being days to weeks, describe short-term mood and circumstance. Jupiter and Saturn transits about 1 to 2.5 years per aspect window describe opportunity and structural life stage shifts. We see that outer planet transits with Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, multi-year describe slow, deep, often generational feeling turning points. And we got progressions. Symbolic timing, roughly 1 degree per year, describe gradual internal maturation. Reading a transit with this worked example. In figure 6.1, transiting Saturn forms a tight square, dashed line, to the natal moon. Read structurally, this is a classic emotional maturity signature, a period asking the person to build more reliable, sustainable emotional habits, often through some real constraint on comfort or routine. The same figure shows transiting Pluto conjunct a natal placement. Read as an intensifying, potentially transformative pressure on whatever that natal planet governs. Reading transits will means naming the kind of pressure a transit applies, not predicting a specific literal event. Explain the core difference between a transit and a progression in one sentence each. Rank the 5 personal planets, Jupiter, Saturn, and the 3 outer planets from fastest to slowest average transit duration. Using figure 6.1, identify which natal planet is receiving the most transiting attention and describe what kind of life period that might describe structurally. All right. So on to Module 7. Advanced technique with midpoints, aspect patterns, and planetary dignity. Advanced technique layers additional structural tools onto the foundation built in modules 1 through 6. 3 of the most widely used are covered here. Midpoints, a third point of meaning between 2 planets. Aspect patterns, recurring multi-planet geometric configurations. And dignity, a system for weighing how comfortably a planet operates in a given sign. So midpoints, midpoint between 2 planets is the exact degree halfway between them, treated as a sensitive point in its own right, a kind of synthesis of the 2 planetary functions that becomes activated when a third planet or transit contacts it directly. Here we have aspect patterns, 4 classic multi-planet aspect patterns, each read as a distinct structural signature rather than a collection of separate aspects. So we see the Grand Trine, CRT square, Grand Cross, and Yod. So what these mean, Grand Trine is 3 planets in mutual trine, abundant flowing talent that can lack motivating friction. The T-square is 2 planets in opposition, both square a third, concentrated drive toward the squared planet's domain. Grand Cross, 4 planets in mutual opposition and square, high tension, high capacity, structural dynamism. And Yod is 2 planets sextile each other, both quincunx a third, a finger of fate pointing toward a destined adjustment. So with essential dignity, we see each planet is considered to have a home sign, which is its rulership, a sign of special comfort, exaltation, and opposite signs of relative difficulty, detriment, and fall. So a planet in its rulership or exaltation is read as operating with unusual ease and strength, while a planet in its detriment or fall is read as working harder to express its function cleanly. We'll see the full tables appear in Appendix C. This worked example. Suppose a grand trine, figure 7.1, links Venus, Jupiter, and the Moon, and Venus happens to sit in Taurus, its own sign of rulership. The dignity strengthens the reading. This is not merely a flowing pattern, but one anchored by a planet operating at full natural strength, suggesting real, reliable talent rather than merely comfortable potential. Now suppose instead that Venus is in the same pattern set in Virgo, its sign of fall. The geometric ease of the grand trine remains, but the anchoring planet works less naturally. Talent may still flow easily, but express itself more critically or hesitantly than the pattern alone would suggest. Dignity refines pattern. Neither factor should be read alone. Define midpoint, aspect pattern, and essential dignity in one sentence each without notes. Using Appendix C, identify Mars' sign of exaltation and its sign of fall. Take any grand trine, T-square, or Yod from a chart you have access to, or invent one and interpret it using both pattern and the dignity of its anchor planet. Alright, and appendices for reference. We're going to go over Appendix A first, with glyph and simple glossary. We see, of course, our planets, and of course our signs, as well as aspects. And Appendix B is orb tables by aspect and body. So an orb is the permitted margin of error around an aspect's exact angle within which the aspect is still considered active. Wider orbs are conventionally allowed for luminaries, sun and moon, and for major aspects, while the narrower orbs for minor aspects and outer planet contacts. So by aspect type, we look at the general convention. We see the conjunction is 8 degrees, opposition 8 degrees, trine 7 degrees, square 7 degrees, sextile 5 degrees, and minor aspects, semisextile, quincunx, etc. 2 through 0.3 degrees. And we look at adjustments by body. Sun, moon involved, adding 1 to 2 degrees wider than standard orb. Personal planets, Mercury, Mars, standard orb. Jupiter, Saturn, standard orb, sometimes it could be -1 degrees. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, -1 to 2 degrees tighter, especially in synastry. Orb conventions vary by school and by individual astrologer. The values above reflect widely used general practice rather than a single fixed standard. Planetary dignities table. Traditional essential dignity assigns each planet assigned rulership and exaltation, comfort and strength, and the opposite signs of detriment and fall of difficulty. So of course we can see planet, rulership, exaltation, detriment, and fall. And we can notice that Sun is ruled by Leo, exalted in Aries, detriment Aquarius, falls in Libra. Moon ruled by Cancer, curated Cancer, exalted in Taurus, detriment Capricorn, and fall Scorpio. Mercury ruling Gemini, Virgo, exalted in Virgo, detriment Sag and Pisces, falls in Pisces. Venus, the rulership Taurus and Libra, exalted in Pisces, detriment Scorpio, Aries, falls in Virgo. Mars, created Aries and Scorpio, exalted in Capricorn, detriment Libra, Taurus, and falls in Cancer. Jupiter, created Sag and Pisces, exalted in Cancer, Gemini and Virgo. Oh, wow. Gemini, Virgo is its detriment, and Capricorn is its fall. Saturn, Capricorn, Aquarius, created, Libra, exalted, Cancer, Leo, detriment, Aries, fall. Uranus, Aquarius, modern rulership, Scorpio, some schools for exaltation, Leo, detriment, and Taurus, fall. Neptune, Pisces, modern rulership, Leo, some schools exalted, Virgo, detriment, Aquarius, fall. And then Pluto, Scorpio, modern rulership, Aries, some schools exalted, Taurus, detriment, with Libra, fall. Modern planet dignities, which is Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, are not part of the traditional Hellenistic system and vary by school. They are included here for reference against contemporary practice. Here's quick reference keyword tables. 12 signs, 1 keyword each, like Aries is the initiate, Taurus, stabilize, Gemini, connect, Cancer, nurture, Libra, balance, Capricorn, achieve, Aquarius, innovate, Scorpio, transform, Leo, express, Virgo, refine, Sagittarius, explore, Pisces, transcend. And then we see 12 houses, 1 keyword each. The first house is self, second is value, third is exchange, fourth is foundation, fifth is creation, sixth is service, seventh is partnership, eighth is depth, ninth is meaning, 10th is vocation, 11th is community, and the 12th is dissolution. And 10 planets, 1 keyword each. The sun is our identity, moons are feeling, Mercury's thought, Venus is attraction, Mars is drive, Jupiter is growth, Saturn is structure, Uranus is disruption, Neptune is imagination, Pluto is power. And practice exercise. A consolidated set of additional exercises for continued study organized by module, working a chart, real, invented, or public figures published data alongside each exercise will build fluency far faster than reading alone. So, we're going to go through these. For modules 1 through 2, build a full 12 sign by 10 planet reference sheet from memory, then check it against appendices A and D. For 3 planets of your choice, write a paragraph combining planet function, sign filter, and element modality without separating them into 3 sentences. For modules 3 through 4, take any chart and list every close aspect using Appendix B's orbs before interpreting any single one. Identify the angular houses in a chart and describe why placements there might carry more interpretive weight. Modules 5 and 6, practice the 5-step synthesis sequence from Module 5 on 3 different charts, timing yourself to build fluency. Track one rail current transit to your own chart or an invented one over several weeks and journal the correspondence or lack of it with lived experience. And for Module 7, search a chart for any of the 4 aspect patterns figure 7.1. If not exists, identify the closest partial pattern. Calculate one midpoint by hand, average the degree positions of 2 planets, and identify what sign and house it falls in. I hope this video helped you learn astrology in some way, shape, or form. With peace and love, I'll see you in the next one. Piscean out.